could end the war if they release the hostages and surrendered.
I know the last 5 months have been gut-wrenching for so many people, for the Israeli people, for the Palestinian people, and so many here in America.
He added that innocent Palestinians are being killed. Biden has been under increasing pressure from his own party to help Palestinian civilians caught in the crossfire of the Israel-Hamas war. Alabama Senator Katie Britt delivered the Republican response to President Biden's State of the Union. While speaking from her kitchen in Montgomery, Alabama, she said Americans deserve a leader who isn't, in her words, dithering and diminished. She said the nation needs a leader who recognizes that secure borders, stable prices, and safe streets are the cornerstones of a great nation. Job growth rose more than expected in February. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said it's a positive sign.
We're seeing very strong job growth. A year or so ago, who would have expected that we could be averaging over 250,000 new jobs a month and yet seeing inflation come down?
The Labor Department says 275,000 jobs were added to the U.S. economy last month. The unemployment rate rose 0.2% to nearly 4% in February. Most of the job gains were in health care, food services, and social assistance. There's a bipartisan push in Congress to ban the social media app TikTok from all U.S. phones and tablets over national security concerns. It has the backing of Texas Republican Congressman Chip Roy.
China makes its teens use a teenage version with a different content. They're targeting our children.
Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
Here's a look at the KCAA community calendar. It's that time again, time for daylight savings time. Now remember, when you spring forward, you will lose an hour. And the fire departments of the Inland Empire would like to remind you to change the batteries in your smoke detectors. Dentists, meanwhile, think this is a good weekend to change your toothbrush. Now, this may be a lot to do in just one weekend, but this station thought we should remind you. And that's a look at the KCAA community calendar.
Was your car involved in an accident or just need help with dents? All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers. In business for over 30 years. Their highly trained staff and certified technicians and friendly staff are the best in the business and treat each car as if it was their own. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers are family owned and offer state-of-the-art equipment and tools to ensure optimum results. They use the latest technology in computerized color matching and specialize in frame repairs. With their modern laser measuring systems, they're OEM certified, and they have 4 locations to serve you. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers offer rental car assistance with free drop-off and pickup services too, and their work has a lifetime guarantee. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers are in Norco, Eastvale, Moreno Valley, and in Fontana. Call them at 1-800-61-MAGIC. That's 1-800-61-MAGIC. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers. 1-800-61-MAGIC. All Magic Paint and Auto Body says, drive carefully.
What would you do if you had a broken bone? You'd go to the doctor and use your insurance, right? Well, what would you do if you have a serious problem with drugs and alcohol? Most people do nothing until it's way too late. Your insurance can help you get clean and sober with the assistance of a place like the Detox and Treatment Helpline. Many times, addiction treatment is fully covered. So why not use your insurance to treat your addiction problem just like you would if you had a broken bone? And with the Family Medical Leave Act, you're allowed to take time off by law, and your employer doesn't need to know the reason. So there are 2 good reasons. You've got insurance you can use for your addiction problem, and with the Family Medical Leave Act, it's completely confidential. Call now, 800-398-7414. That's 800-398-7414.
When you shop with local merchants, more of your money stays close to home. By helping support local businesses, we all benefit. This message from MyTran eShop, family owned and operated for over 30 years. Save and bring your foreign or domestic vehicle to MyTran eShop, located at 21891 Alessandro Boulevard in Moreno Valley.
See it.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You're tuned into Take My Advice. I'm not using a gift balance with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on NBC News, CNBC News, and NBC Sports Radio station KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, Audible, Amazon Music, Tiki Live, Rumble, Podchaser, Spreaker, you name it, I'm there. Why? Because I want to balance out all the bad news that's so readily available out there with some good news. And the good news is that this show, they said, wouldn't last more than a year because it's not gossiping or scandalizing or talking about the K words. Kanye talk, formerly or now, but guess what? They were wrong, and I have a plethora of beautiful, inside and out, like-minded, love-hearted people who continue to tune in this week. This ends the consecutive 618, I believe, weeks on the air, on camera, as well as this is podcast number 1121. And not only do I have great guests and great topics, I also have great co-hosts that come onto the show. And I'm so delighted because it is Happy International Women's Day today. Hold on, let me get that applause. And for those of you who know, Fridays is usually Tempting Conversations with myself and Alon Carter, the daughter of the founder of the Temptations, Otis Williams. And we all know, we've been praying and, just keeping a loving eye on her mama. My family, part of my family, her mom's going through treatment, and they caught it early, but it's a tough haul. Those of you who have had cancer and have gone through the treatment, it's not easy. My dad wasn't able to have it, ended up really, with the lymphoma, he couldn't have it. So Alon's been a wonderful daughter helping out, and she's kind of exhausted. So we're giving her a break today. And I thought, who could I bring on here who would bring just as much energy and also have great ideas for a topic? And that is my past guest, who's also, you'll recognize her because she's sung the national anthem at every major sports event, Clippers, Lakers, Dodgers, Kings, you name it, she's been there. Her voice is amazing. I'm sure I had lots of wonderful comments on my social about going with her to the UCLA gymnastics meet, and she's saying that I was so proud. And she actually found me, last year? She was looking through social, and so anybody that says social's a bad influence, wrong. I love the fact that she connected with me. We became, she came on as a guest. We became friends. She's single-handedly trying to get me married off now. She's one of the reasons why I'm still dating. And she's just a lovely person. She's a kind of like a mini me. But I think a little sister, definitely. Please welcome to the studio my guest co-host today, Ranella Ferrer.
Hello, Dr. Marissa. Thank you so much for having me today.
Of course. Welcome back. And you know the drill. We start with breakfast with myself and my co-host or guest. So if you're driving, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Happy International Women's Day.
Thank you. And back at you. We're going to start that whole interesting. I'm actually a little not uneasy, but it's going to be fun today because I'm going to be on a hot seat for a change.
Yes, you are.
She's interviewing me because I am an international woman. So That's what we're doing
After
after.
1,121 episodes, finally you're on the hot seat. So it's just time.
Yeah.
It took
I hope it does-
1,121 episodes, okay?
I hope that I don't get burned or burn myself on the hot seat.
Oh,
But
absolutely not.
I'm sure it's going to be fine. But it will be fun. But first, we go have breakfast, taking a bite of my gratitude sandwich. That's the good life habit and the hashtag Blisscipline that I've been instituting on this show for the last year. So, top of the bun, 8 things that you like about yourself. Bottom of the bun, 8 things you appreciate about yourself. And if you're in the chat, please do participate. If you're driving right now and listening to the AM 1050 or FM 106.5, do not put your gratitudes there. Just say them out loud. Here we go. I am grateful that it is International Women's Day today, and we get permission, not that we need it, to really highlight the fact that international women rock. What are you grateful for, Ranella?
I am grateful to be a part of your show today on this wonderful Friday and to put you in the hot seat.
I am grateful that I had the best, I meditate every morning, and sometimes I'm just so happy I cry, like literally like immersed in the gratitude of my life, and I love my life, and I'm so grateful for everything in it. I'm grateful that this morning is one of those super duper naturally high feeling days.
Right.
All right. Your turn.
I feel mutual. I was going to say, I am just grateful how I've been blessed with things that I never thought, like some people would wish or pray for, to have and to experience, to be able to sing and be even just right now at this present moment and be where I am and where I'm at and have the life that I'm living. I'm just grateful to be blessed with everything.
Beautiful. I am grateful that I got to taste your mom's amazing cheese puff, which I had to give half of them more than halfway, because
I figured.
I'll add that as my last gratitude is I'm grateful that I've continued to slim down, and I'm down 32 pounds, and I'm grateful for that.
Woo! Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm grateful that your presence catapulted me to get back into the gym, because ever since we talked about the health, I started going back to the gym, and I've been there almost every day now. And before I would go once every 3 months, which is terrible. So now I've been going almost every day, and I'm grateful to get my health back and to have that motivation to get back in shape and to be the best version of myself again.
Yes, she was on Khloe Kardashian's
Revenge Body.
Yeah. So it's she used the excuse to get me in the gym of she thought she would, set me up or have more people on the swiping. So it was kind of fun.
It was a fact.
I'm glad that it worked to get you there on a more regular basis. She even tried to get me to teach Tai Chi there so that it would be
amazing.
Yes. Be there with her every day. But I'm good. She's got the habit now, and she doesn't need me there because I have a gym in my place.
But just the twice or 3 times that you've gone there are people that recognize you, which is crazy, and that's how popular you are. I thought they were actually from your dating profile, but thankfully they were.
I know that's pretty.
That's another story.
Yeah, right. It tickles. It tickles my funny bone when that happens. Did I tell you it happened at a bank? I sat down. Yeah, I went to a bank, and they started taking my information, and she goes, "Your name?" I said, "Dr. Marissa Pay," and she goes, And she looks up and she goes, I listen to you.
Oh my God, that's so
That
awesome.
was super cool. Super cool.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
All right, let's go to the bottom of the button. What do
Okay.
you like about yourself? And the reason why we do this in a little international slant here, there are many cultures, especially in Asia, where to talk about yourself, to toot your own horn, is completely against the rules. So in Chinese and Japanese, I've said this before, the nail that stands up is hammered down. That's a saying that is, taught to you as a child. So thank you for that finger. Someone just gave us a finger, not that finger, but this one. And that expression keeps a lot of Asian women from stepping into their unique talents, gifts, and abilities. And both of us really feel that because we're on stage, we're in front of the camera, we're in the middle, and there's a certain bit of extra courage that we need as Asian women to step into our gifts and our power, and no hiding the light under the bushel. So we'll talk about that.
Yes.
But that's why we do this weight training right now at the top of the show, is I want you to get used to going to bed at night thinking about how good you are, instead of all the things that people said, or you will feel bad about yourself. So the foundation of good mental health is self-care, self-love, self-soothing. All of that is so important. So we practice on the show. So here we go. I appreciate my ability to move beyond my cultural constraints. So that'll be my first one. What about you?
I appreciate my confidence and being able to face thousands of people and sing in front of all of them without fear or actually messing up the words to the song.
Did you do you still get nervous?
You know, when I do like major sports, like I would say the Lakers gets me nervous because I do see like the big A-list celebrities in the court side, like Denzel Washington to like, Justin Bieber, or the professional singers that are sitting on the court side. That gets me nervous because I'm like, oh my God, they're right there. But the funny thing is, like, just going back to this, my high school graduation, I sung the national anthem for our graduation, and I sung "At the Twilight's Last Gleaming" 3 times.
Oh,
so I wish I do have a video somewhere, but I said "At the twilight's last gleaming, at the twilight's last gleaming," and I think all my classmates were just laughing, like, "How did you graduate?"
I know.
So fast forward, I'm doing this now. It's kind of like ironic, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, just since we're airing dirty laundry, I was they had called me in to audition for the X Factor, and I did the national anthem, and I messed up the words, and the guy looked at me like. So if that makes you feel better, that is what happened. So you're not the only one. I don't know why, that maybe it's the old English language, but it's not that easy to remember those words.
No, yeah.
Right? Okay,
right.
so give us a break. I appreciate my ability to cut myself some slack, because I would have never shared that with, I think that's actually the first time I've shared that, because
Oh, wow.
mortification, shame, embarrassment, and it's like, you know what? We're not perfect. And 88% of the time, I'm fabulous. And 12% of the time, I step in it. And so, I'm okay with that. And I'm really glad that I got to that point in my life, because when I think back in my 20s, I'm ageless, but in my 20s, I was so nervous about how people thought, said, saying. And if I messed up, it was like the end of the forking world. And so now I'm just so grateful that I can go, oh, well, okie dokie, I messed up, and then I institutionalize the art of neglect and don't talk about it, don't think about it, and don't revisit it, and don't beat myself up about it. And then I feel better again. So there you go. What's your last appreciation of yourself?
Appreciation of the fact that regardless of my race or background, I'm able to face the world proudly and represent who I am and be able to have the world, whoever's listening to me, not look at me as a Filipino American, but as a talent, as a voice that touched their soul while singing. So I'm grateful for that.
Awesome. Awesome. And that is it for Breakfast with Dr. Marissa and guest co-host
Ranella Ferrer.
Thanks for having breakfast with us. You are tuned to Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa, the morning show here on KCAA AM 1050, FM 106.5, and streaming everywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and Show Central, which is my YouTube TV channel, where if you free subscribe, you'll get an alert every weekday morning to tune in to more hope and happiness. And today is
International Women's Day.
Yes, it is. And so we are celebrating this particular day in an unusual way.
Yes.
Guest co-host here is about to start interviewing me on the hot seat. If you have any questions for me, even though
I have a bunch.
Me.
So,
but if anybody else, hold on 1 second. If anyone in the stream has a question for me, even though I live my life out loud and I basically have told you everything about my life, past, present, and future, you can also put it in the chat and Ranella will pick that up. All right, here we go.
Okay, so I remember the last time that I was on the show, Dr. Marissa asked me, who is Ranella? I want to ask you, who is Dr. Marissa? Tell everyone how you started. How did Dr. Marissa Pay came about into this world?
We only have 40 minutes, less than 40 minutes. So yeah, well, the whole story is actually in this. I mean, a shameless plug here. My best-selling book. Yes, it actually is not. A psychologist telling you how to be happy. It's one of the 7 out of 10 of us who've had childhood trauma. And so the book captures that and also how to work through the pain into your power. So that's basically my journey is I became who I am as a direct result of the painful experiences that I have gone through to alchemize me into the person that I am. And that, my friends, is I'm the poster child to show that, pain in life is mandatory. And the BS, the belief system that we are born and that our life is supposed to be easy and that nothing bad is supposed to happen. And when it does, there's something wrong with you and you're behind the 8 ball and you have to catch up. That is bullshit-talky. And for me, I grew up with that, 7 out of 10 thing. My honorable moniker, Oprah, says it's as high as 8 out of 10. She's been she's been public and sharing after she became successful about her background, similar, sexual abuse. I had not sexual abuse, but I had verbal, emotional, and physical abuse from a well-meaning person. She was sometimes more mean than well, but she didn't know what she was doing. No one gets a handbook for good parenting. Yet we have this stupid BS belief system that we're supposed to know how to be good parents. So I grew up in that and I do not regret it. I talk to my mom almost every day. She calls me every day. She's in Canada. She has Parkinson's and a bit of dementia now. And she did the best that she could, and I don't even regret. And if I could change things, I wouldn't even change them, because through her, I learned how to be resilient, brave, compassionate, tenacious, a good orator, creative. All of those things were birthed from that upbringing. And so
do you
I'll let you talk.
I'm going to ask you more questions. So do you
Okay.
think when you were younger, is that when you realized, okay, one day I want to be a doctor of psychology, or did this just come about through experience? Because also too, being Asian American, we know Asian American women moms are very tough, and they're very like blunt. If they think that you look like you gained weight, they'll be like, "Oh, you look fat today." Like they'll just bluntly say it without, you know, remorse or whatnot. Do you think that that's did that start when you were little for you to become Dr. Marissa, or did that just happen?
So, good question. When you are told you are fat and ugly and clumsy, from as soon as I could understand what those words were, and to this day, she will say, "Have you gained weight?" or "You look like you gained weight." Yeah, when I visit. God bless her. But Asian mothers, I think almost all of the Asian cultures have that.
Yeah.
The mom's job is to use negative motivation to make you better. It's my job as your mother to make sure you're not fat and ugly. So I'm going to tell you that you're fat and ugly so that you will be motivated not to be fat and ugly. You've had that experience. I've had that experience. When I spoke in China right before COVID, I was 10 miles from Wuhan, November 2019, but I spoke at the embassy in Beijing, and there was not a dry eye in the entire audience because they could relate. They had similar experiences. One said, yeah, my mom told me I had fat knees from the time I was young.
Oh my God.
Hips, all of that. It's this crazy acceptable way of raising daughters. Doesn't happen to sons, but daughters in particular. And what's interesting too is that is, if you're listening and you're vibing and saying, yeah, and you know any Chinese publishers, that's where we're going next with this, because that was what was supposed to happen. COVID kind of got in the way.
Yeah.
But we are planning a trip this year, actually, to China to try to make that happen the next step. So if you know anybody, please do message me, Dr. Marissa. Like, just use my assistant Google, you'll find me everywhere. But please do contact me for that, because I can't wait to see how it happens. I think it's going to be one of those magical ways, right? So it could be from the show. Anyways, so it does seem to be the Chinese, Filipina, Japanese, Cambodian,
Asian,
all around way of motivating the women. So that led me to a BS, a belief system, that in order to get love, I had to be the best. In order to get love, I had to achieve, right? And be beautiful. And if I couldn't be skinny, I had to be really nice. And it's interesting, on the way to high school, I had that really, look, kid, you're fat, you have zits, you have thick glasses. I had a -9 prescription. You are not beautiful. You're not good looking. You're going to have to really use your personality to stand out. I literally had that conscious conversation with myself after this guy rode by me on a bike on the way to high school and looked at me and said, "Ugly." All right.
Oh my
So
God.
this launched me. So I lost 40 pounds, started modeling through on my when I was 17 in high school last year. And
Last year.
and you know, obviously, if you're Asian, you have to get A's. I remember the day my mom said to me, you know, you don't have to get A pluses. A's are fine, right?
She would pull.
Yeah, 1 hour of TV a week. I didn't have a radio until I was 19. I didn't go to a movie until I was 21. Now that was Asian plus evangelical religion.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So very, very strict. So to answer your question, those experiences also, so I became an overachiever, right? And I always wanted to be the youngest to finish this or the one to have the most that, you know, because that was equated to love. So everything was about how I looked, what I did to get loved. And so I was going to be a doctor because, you know, the joke is, right, we have to be either doctors or lawyers. And that's the only thing that's like, wow, right? And I was in pre-med and I decided to be a doctor, right? My dad was a professor, PhD, and medical doctor is the best thing you can be in a Chinese home. So I took a pre-med first year at McMaster, and I was dating a guy who got leukemia. And so I watched the, you know, quarterback. I met him through our, you know, very evangelical fundamental Baptist network. And I went to visit him in the hospital and watched him die and watched his face.
Oh my gosh.
The steroids. And I said, I don't want to be a doctor. Like, I just can't even imagine.
Wow. Yes.
So so biology, that was my major, obviously, for pre-med, and my elective was psychology. And I actually really liked the class. So I switched my major to psychology, and I thought, okay, I'm going to heal the mind instead of the body, right? So that's how I got into psychology. And then so I thought I was going to be a clinical psychologist, and this was also against Asian Chinese. Psychology is wasn't a respected occupation, a field of study. That was all too woo-woo, not a hard science. China itself as a nation did not value psychology until
really
about I don't know how many years ago, but you'll remember maybe the instance of like 30 former farm workers, jumping off a cliff and killing themselves. I may be wrong with the numbers or wrong with the actual situation, but that event finally got the government to say, okay, there is something to mental health. There is something to psychology. There is something here, okay? So, but I'll tell you, becoming a psychologist, I had a cousin who would not let me talk to his daughter because she wanted to go into psychology and he didn't want her to.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's, I had no idea that psychology wasn't accepted in China. But I mean, I've had my fair share of experience when I went to Hong Kong when I was little, and I just remember that you were right about them, even the women, them respecting the men more than the women. I remember being at a restaurant and the waiter wouldn't talk to us about taking our order. He would only talk to my dad, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm trying to order here, but he didn't want to talk to us. He only wanted to talk to my dad.
That's normal?
That's normal.
Yeah.
Now, being Asian American or Chinese, growing up in Canada, did that make a difference in your modeling career, in the path you've taken, going to college, down to even dating? Because we're talking about, you know, being international women, like the changes and the growth of you becoming who you are right now and being respected to be all that you are.
You know, So many things. I grew up in a very homogenous town, the largest German settlement outside of Germany in Canada, Ontario. It's called Kitchener, or the Twin Cities, Kitchener, Waterloo, Ontario. So I was one of the only Chinese family. There was a Japanese family, Black family, and an Indian family. And actually, all of them were, except for the Japanese family, were professors at the university. And so I looked different, and different was bad. And we would line up first day of school, and I would just dread it because they would always mess up my name. And it was actually Maria. That's another story. I changed it to Marissa when I started modeling, and also to change who I was. I didn't want to be Maria anymore. There's something, maybe you know me. No, yeah. So I became Marissa, and my last name is P-E-I, right? P is in positive E-I, like Prince Edward Island. But if you look at it, you don't necessarily know how to pronounce it. So I'd stand with everybody in line, and they call roll at the beginning to tell you which class you were going to. And from the age of 8, right, every year, Maria Pie, Maria Pooh, Maria. Yeah. So then everybody would laugh, and the rest of the year it was on. And so I hated looking different. I hated being Chinese.
That's what I was going to ask you.
I hated the fact that I didn't like the girl next door, blonde, blue-eyed, brown hair, blue-eyed. I hated that with a passion. So it led to when people would say, "Are you Hawaiian?" I would say, "Not yes, but not no." So I would pretend to be Hawaiian because Hawaiian was cool, Chinese was cool, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that kept going until I started modeling, and I was getting gigs because it started to turn into the international focus. So I came at the right time to have that different look. And that did, the fact that I was not the average did actually start to help. Okay.
I was going to ask, was that an advantage for you now being Chinese American into the modeling?
I was Chinese Canadian at the time.
Or Canadian.
And
okay.
yes, Chinese Canadian at the time. And yes, it did help. I actually won the Miss Hawaiian Tropic first runner-up. And then there was a scandal with the winner, and so I ended up, being able to go to Hawaii, and here's the funny thing about that. If you just tuned in and you're wondering what's going on in studio today, I am actually on the hot seat. I'm being interviewed by my guest co-host today, Renelle Ferrer, and you remember her as a guest here. When was that? It was last year, right? It was last year.
November, December, around there.
She's like my little sister now, and she is interviewing me to celebrate International Women's Day. We're delighted that you're here. This is KCAA, AM 1050, FM 106.5, a station that leaves no listener behind and home to the Asian Oprah. And I'm answering her questions today for a change, and we're sort of going through my life and how I got to be the Asian Oprah and who I am now. Yes. So when I went to Hawaii, it was the very first time where I didn't want to be Hawaiian.
Really? Wait, were you single then, or did you have a boyfriend?
I was single. Oh, I did date one guy. His name was Tony Maloney, and he was the manager at Moose McGillicuddy's.
What is
Moose
McGillicuddy's?
Moose McGillicuddy's is a bar. It's a very famous bar there, so it's funny. But it was funny because it was the first time I appreciated looking different. Because I looked Hawaiian, people thought I was Hawaiian, and all of a sudden I wasn't different. And that was the first time when I appreciated that I looked different. So that was a full circle thing. And I really appreciated that lesson for me. That's something that was so horrible growing up. Pain in life is mandatory. I didn't have to suffer from it anymore because suffering is optional. And so I love that I went through that experience to fully appreciate that I was Chinese and that I love my Chinese roots, even when we're affiliated with the virus, even when there's this right now with the country. I am, first and foremost, Dr. Marissa, who is an international woman. I chose to be American, so I am a Chinese American. I love my country. I hate Chinese hate, stop Asian hate. I hate people who hate. I shouldn't say that. I prefer people who love. So, but I am very comfortable because it allowed me to be a diversity consultant.
Right.
I was one of the first diversity consultants in Los Angeles to put together with my colleagues at the Los Angeles County. Howard Phillips is in heaven now. Marjorie, I'm going to forget names and I'm going to get in heck for it, but there's a whole group of us who put together a program we rolled out for 80,000 employees about Value University. I did it with Dr. Mary Choi at Mattel and a couple of other different companies and organizations. Joyce Labrinos, I remembered her name. So all of this was just so perfect. Everything that I had gone through has a purpose. And I hope everybody hears that message today. No matter how horrible things happen in your life, all of that is for you, not against you. It is to help you develop aspects of you that you didn't even know you had. And if we can embrace that as the norm, then we're less likely to have a crappy life, to think that life sucks, because life does not suck.
No.
Yeah.
So I have a question regarding being Chinese or having the Asian background. Do you think that was an advantage in the dating world, or was that a disadvantage, or both? From the past, present, and future.
You're asking the perfect questions, actually, because I forgot about that when you were talking earlier. When I was dating, it was very common to have the guy say, I've always been attracted to Asian women.
That's the worst. I don't, oh my God.
And my friends would say, what's wrong with that? You are an Asian woman. And it's like, first of all, can I be beautiful without being a beautiful Asian woman? Like, can I just be beautiful? Like within all
or
the
your
reasons?
fetish, right?
Right. The second is that one. The BS stereotype belief system that we are subservient and, threatening or whatever it is. I will say to them, if I stayed at dinner, I would look at them in the eye and go, first of all, ain't cooking for you.
If you stayed at dinner?
Yeah, if I stayed. I ain't cooking for you, okay? I'm not cleaning for you, right? And the only way I'm going to walk on your back is with high heels on, so it'll hurt. So,
have you ever done that though?
Done that with the high heels? Oh, it never gets that far because at this point I walk off, or there is no second date, because even though it's meant as a compliment. Now I know there's guys out there, well, it was meant to, and I get that, and I don't walk off now. I try to gently, educate and say, okay, first of all, it sounds like you're stereotyping, because the last thing I am is a subservient woman. Okay. Now, it is true that in many Asian cultures, in Asia, that is still their culture. But for an American Asian woman to assume that that is how you are. And this is the thing about diversity that gets us all tripped up. People go, it's quit stereotyping. And it's like, well, okay. However, there is that, saying, there is some truth to stereotypes, yes, but that's not the stereotype. The truth is there are group differences. And if you keep saying to me, I don't see you as a woman, and I keep looking down, it's not a compliment. I had a boss who said to me, you're so strong, you're so direct, great communication. Sometimes I forget you're not a man.
Oh, wow.
Compliment, yes. Meant it as a compliment. Was the intent compliment, impact not a compliment? So, yes, it does get in the way. However, it's not something to get pissed off about. Like our younger generation is really good at flying off the handle at any kind of discrimination and prejudice, and I love them for it. But at the same time, you can't educate people when you're pissed off.
Right. No, you cannot.
So,
now, away from dating, I wanted to ask you this question. What was your most memorable event where you felt being Asian, American, or Canadian, or colored was celebrated and or admired?
I won the 2000. I mean, I've been so blessed with being recognized. So I won a plethora of awards, but the one that I went, oh, okay, it's really come full circle, and it's a wonderful thing to be Asian, was winning the 2012 Asian Heritage Award. Wait a minute, no. First one was 2005 Role Model of the Year Award. Wow. At Nordstrom's on stage. And my kids got to come up a stage. There's a picture of that somewhere. And I was
one of those pictures in the wall in the back behind you.
Yeah. I don't know if I have that one up, but it was just an honor. And then the 2012 one, they actually had a runner, thing that said Dr. Marissa Asian Oprah 2012 Asian Heritage Award. And I was like, oh, that was the first time someone had said Asian Oprah. And I was mortified because those were two big shoes to fill. And I was like, no, thank you. So I didn't, I tried to push it aside. And that was when I still didn't understand my job. I didn't understand why I was here. I didn't understand all that I have to do in my life. I didn't understand my Happy 88 mission. So it wasn't until Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith introduced me to Oprah as the Asian Oprah. Many years later, I went, okay, this is kind of silly for me to look a gift horse in the mouth to receive the honor, right, of that moniker. And that's how it happened. And she looked at me, looked down and said, nice pants. And I took everything from me not to say, do you want them?
Wow.
So when Oprah compliments you. So anyway.
That's what does being a Chinese American woman stand for, or Chinese, or just an Asian woman, or a woman of color like yourself stand for? What would you want people to know about being Chinese in the US or in the world, actually, because it is International Women's Day?
Yes. I want everyone to understand that we are all complex, okay? We're not just Asian women. We are not just Black women. We have so many adjectives, right? Now, it's true that the color of our skin is one of the first three things that people see. And that is why we say Asian woman or Black woman or Latina woman or Filipino woman. But until we can get to the place where that is just like the woman, the beautiful woman with the necklace on, or the one with the black this is actually my mom's hand
Oh,
embroidered
wow.
from China. This thing is about, she got it from her
Beautiful.
mom. It's like a 200-year-old art.
Wow. Wow.
Art. Yeah.
It should be
Yeah.
up on your wall. That's
No,
amazing.
I know. Yeah. Anyway, but when you say Black woman, you don't think beautiful right away because of all the stuff that comes with the word Black. And that's
Hmm.
why, if you can introduce someone, make
Hmm.
sure that you're extending it beyond the part of them that is visibly different,
Right.
because until we get to the place where Filipina isn't
Hmm.
associated with lumpia
Nurse.
and
Nursing. Yes.
nurse and
Yes.
yes, caretaker, right? Or
Hmm.
potlucks and family,
Right.
huge
No.
families, right?
Right.
Or Black isn't affiliated with all the things that come with that word now
Hmm.
that are not edifying and not true,
Right.
you know. Um, don't focus on that. It's just one of many things. Yes, I'm an Asian woman, but yes, I'm also a creator. I'm a musician.
Right.
I am a motivator. There's so many ways we can describe ourselves, and at the same time, don't leave it out.
Yes.
Right? It's all about balance. I keep saying this for my entire life. It's all about balance. Let's balance out. International doesn't mean that it's you're better than anyone, but it doesn't mean that
Hmm.
you're worse than anyone. And thank you for
Hmm.
giving me the platform to use this one model that I used to use when I was doing a lot more diversity training. I love doing it. So if you need it, hit me up because I love doing
That's
this kind of
actually right.
yeah.
I
So
have more
when you
questions
walk
about that
by,
too. Hmm.
yeah, when you walk by a microwave at work and you smell something funky, usually the first reaction is, "Ugh,
What
God,
is
why would someone bring that to work and heat it up? Like, gross. So difference equals yuck, bad, less than, avoid, criticize, judge, right? Push away. Okay. Now, am I asking you to be a different person and not discern at all and walk by and go, oh, I love it. It's
uh,
so, let me
uh,
try it. Because that's the huge, we're Americans, we're just so judgmental. It's either this way or this way. There's no gray, right,
right.
wrong, good, bad. What category is it? Is black or white? It's
Hmm.
not that easy. We don't want people to go to the other extreme and love everything. You're missing the point.
Right.
However, what would our country be like if we walked by the microwave and went, I don't think I want to try that. However, I wonder what it is.
Hmm.
So difference equals curiosity, right? Uh,
Hmm.
Investigation, open and expanding, right? That's
Hmm.
diversity. International Women's Day hashtag this year, the theme is inspire inclusion. That's a
Inspire. I like that. I like that. Inspire inclusion. You know what? I feel like because everything is so, mixed these days. Like, I mean, there are many exotic looking children, or the new generation is so mixed. I feel like sometimes when people are still saying like racial slurs, because people think I'm one nationality from the other, and sometimes they say certain things around me and they don't realize like I'm Filipino or I'm Asian. Like they don't know what nationality I am. And to me, I'm like, we're already living in the US where it's like the most mixed country of different races. Like why, if you don't want to see other races, why are you here? Why go to somewhere where you will only see that race that you want to be around? Because you're already in America. I think, that's one thing that I feel like sometimes, like, gosh, everyone should be accepting, like, also being an Asian, singing in the entertainment world or the mainstream, experiencing diversity. And sometimes I'm around all these soulful singers, and that's one thing I was going to ask you. What advice would you give someone stepping into a very diverse background that they're not, let's say, like a Filipino girl like myself who's just starting into the music world, and then they're stepping into like a world filled with different nationalities, or a Chinese stepping into your being a reporter, and they're around other nationalities and they're not used to it, and they grew up in, like, let's say Cerritos, where I grew up in, and it's like majority like Asians. What advice would you give them?
The title of the book by Dr. Terry Cole Whitaker, What You Think of Me is None of My Business. You anchor yourself in what you know and about what you are here to do. You were given a gift. You have a beautiful voice. Yes, it's out there. But here's the thing that people of color kind of shoot themselves in the foot, because that negative energy of you're discriminating, or I'm going to accuse you of being racist, or you're prejudiced, and using the card, or whatever it is, it always backfires, because one, you're making assumptions, right? They may not be. I always, and most of the time try to, 88% of the time I am successful. It's called BOD. Just give people the benefit of the doubt that that's not an issue. Okay? Until they make it an issue, right? And if it happens, it just means that they weren't ready for this. It should not play any factor in any person of color's ability to step into their talent, gift, and ability, because everybody has a unique talent, gift, and ability. And discrimination isn't just black and white. It is not the white privilege discussion that we keep bringing it to. Are white people prejudiced? Absolutely. Are black people prejudiced? Absolutely. I think that
even Asians.
One of the worst violators of prejudice is definitely Asian. I want to speak for Chinese, for sure. So it's like, why even go there? I know that it has helped with representation, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't take a stand at some point and say, wait a minute, there's an imbalance here. But at this point where we are, I think to continue to push that, it's going to go and it's already backfiring. Look at what's going on with our now. So let's just embrace and appreciate where we are and what we've done, so that we can continue that in positive energy. Because when you fight against anything, you're still in that hate energy, which is not going to be what you want. So that's my advice.
I love that. And any last minute advice to women who are of a different background that wants to be in your position?
Just meditate in the morning. Know that you are one of a kind, wonderful. Get this book to work through any issues you have that you don't see yourself as loving, lovable, and loved. And we are out of time. Thank you. You did a great job.
Oh, thank you.
Interviewing me. It's all about balance. Peace in, peace out. World peace through inner peace. This is Dr. Marissa reporting live with Rochelle Ferrer. And we just know that you're going to have the best weekend ever. We'll see you on Monday. Happy International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored